And so these are definite things that can happen. The government expects them to happen. They just don't know what, time frames, because you really can't put a time frame on something like that exactly, because they've been wrong every year so far. I certainly don't want to be prepared and off guard for when it does hit. And so they prepare. You'll find politicians scarce in the summertime. They all take off. They all hide. You won't see Bush and Cheney very much. You'll see their clones all over the place to give a picture that our government is in power, and traveling to different states to sign legislations. Those are almost always a George Bush clone doing that. It's not him traveling all over the place. Especially with Cheney. Has anybody seen him lately? He's always hiding in an underground base. And these aren't real people to begin with anyway. I've said it before, the real George Bush, the real Dick Cheney, they've long been gone. They're replaced by clones. We're seeing permanent clones of these people. And even the clones themselves have a lot to fear, because they don't want to lose the bodies they're inhabiting. And I've often talked about the arrival of this Maitreya when he comes to Earth. And of course, May is a dominant month for Maitreya and this Jesus, this Sananda, to come to Earth. Now, I've been wondering, are they the same person? Are they different? Are they a pair? What's being played here? I've always kept an open view of the whole thing. I'm convinced that they're two separate people now, that this Sananda Jesus is going to be the Jesus that most of the churches today worship and will recognize, because I've seen his picture. And it's Sananda. It's not the real Jesus. He doesn't look like that. And so when he comes, Christianity, apostate Christianity, is going to embrace him as their Messiah. I don't know how they're going to word around it. Oh, we were wrong. We got prophecy mixed up. I don't know what they're going to do. Probably why they don't teach prophecy in the churches today, so that most of the believers are in the dark as to what prophecy really says to begin with, and they just believe anything they're told by the pastors. And so when he arrives, they very well could be told, oh, we're here to build his kingdom on earth now. We're kingdom builders. And then Maitreya arrives. He's Arab. He's Arabic. And so he's going to arrive probably in Ethiopia. He's going to have a stronghold in Ethiopia, probably fulfill what the Iranians are waiting for, the arrival of their Mahdi at any time now. They're all hyped up over the arrival of their own Messiah. So he could fulfill that role for the Arabs. And then the Sananda comes and fulfills the role of Jesus and Christianity. And so they're both going to be here on earth at relatively the same time. And the thing with Maitreya is that he's such a savage beast that I don't think he's going to last long. It's hard to try to pinpoint everything and put things in places, and I may have to change this later. But I don't think Maitreya is going to be here very long. He's going to be here to incite the Arabs against the world. He's going to play a role of either deceiving them all into accepting and believing that Jesus is Lord. And so they are following this fake Messiah called Jesus that's on the earth, because he's, Satan's coming as Jesus. Or he's going to just play a role to incite them all into a war against the rest of the world, thus leading to their own annihilation, because the world would rise up against Islam. It would be a total world war, Islam against the rest of the world, if Maitreya were to lead them to war. They would follow him and do anything he says. They've been following this Quran, and it's the most barbaric and animalistic book that Satan's ever written. And it was his mimic of what we had of the Holy Bible, and it's just barbaric. It's completely atrocious. And so anybody who follows that religion is already in Satan's grasp. And so what thrill could Satan have to say, okay, I've deceived Arabs, 1.3 billion of them, because he already has. He already owns most of them. They're not worshiping the one true God. They're worshiping Satan. Islam isn't just another form of Satanism. It just leads them into evil and barbarism, just as Catholicism, which is another form of Satanism, leads its worshippers into idolatry. They worship Mary. They worship saints. They worship everybody. They confess their sins to man. They don't confess their sins to God. And so you look at all these isms: socialism, communism, Catholicism, Mormonism, Islam, the Muslims. I mean, it's all Satan's realm, folks. It's even Christianity. He has a stronghold in Christianity because he has so many of his apostate followers and leaders leading a lot of the large churches today. You know, almost all of our denominations are run by Masons who have given their oath of loyalty to Lucifer. And so the only real true churches out there left today in Christianity are going to be the small mom-and-pop churches on the corners that aren't related to denominations, you know. But most of them, you know, like I've said, how many of them are following the Ten Commandments? You have all these churches every Sunday that should be preaching to follow the Lord's commandments when they don't follow them himself because they're meeting on Sunday instead of worshiping and honoring him on the Sabbath, which is the seventh day, which is Saturday. Sunday is the first day of the week. Saturday is the seventh day. And so we have a real problem with so many things in all of the churches and all of the religions today. And you might find one that seems like it's halfway doing something right, but then they're ignoring one of their own commandments. You know, they're not worshiping the Lord on the seventh day. And so there's just apostasy everywhere, folks. It's everywhere. And I know a lot of the Lord's people have been let out of the churches by him himself. He has led a lot of his people out of the churches. And those who do truly seek him for the truth in all things are going to find that he is going to lead them out of the churches. Why? Because they're not worshiping him. They worship him and they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. You know, how hypocritical can you be for churches to plaster a plaque or a poster of the Ten Commandments inside their church walls, and then they're breaking them themselves? You know, it's all hypocrisy. It's all apostasy, and that's what he said the last days was going to be like. You know, and we're not the majority, folks. We're the minority. We're the minority. Those who truly seek him for the truth and honor him by staying away from these blasphemous and apostate things, we're the minority. And so a lot of people, you'll hear from them, oh, my family doesn't believe me what I'm saying. They think I'm crazy. Or if I try to talk to anybody about any of the stuff, they think I'm crazy. Well, that's the way it is, folks. The Lord said it was going to be like that. We're the minority. We're not the majority. You know, even the Christianity of today will turn against the real believers here in the nation that refuse to partake in anything that they do, that they're in, that they refuse to be a part of their churches, a part of their religions, a part of their dogma. They will even come against the Lord's true believers in the last days. You know, they consider themselves true believers, but they're in errors, and they're in apostate. You know, they're all sitting around waiting for a rapture to happen. And it's not going to happen to keep them from the things that are coming. The Lord said he will protect the church of Philadelphia from the hour of temptation. And that was the church of Philadelphia because they honored him and they sought him and they loved him and worshipped him. They weren't found in all these apostates and hypocrisies and errors that are a part of mainstream Christianities today. And so what is the hour of temptation? The hour of temptation is when Satan enforces his mark and his worship upon the world. That would be the last half of what you consider the tribulation period. Some people say the tribulation period is 3.5 years, some 7. It would be the last 3.5 years, which would be counted as the hour of temptation. And so everybody thinks the hour of temptation encompasses the entire tribulation period and that they're going to be raptured before is apostate and in error. And you can't tell them. You can't tell them. When you realize when the rapture or the hiding is going to be, it takes a long time of seeking him for the truth on that before he'll reveal it to you. So I know it took him a long time for me. I kept seeking him on it. I knew there was something wrong about the pre-trib doctrine I'd been taught all my life. You know, I just felt there was something wrong. There was too much manipulation of Scripture to prove that doctrine. And when you have to ignore Scriptures or manipulate and change them, then throw the doctrine out. It's wrong. Because the Lord doesn't contradict himself. And there was just too many problems with the pre-trib rapture. It contradicts other Scriptures in the Bible. And so if something contradicts other Scriptures in the Bible, throw it out. Throw your doctrines out. Throw your beliefs out. And ask the Lord to teach you himself what that doctrine is, what that teaching is. And so a lot of it just comes from sitting at his feet and seeking him for the truth in all things. Now, the Lord says over and over that the last days are going to be as the days of Noah. Noah was put into an ark. He wasn't taken off of the earth and kept from